Hey there, it's time to take the lead. Trust your voice, know what you need. Let's break it down.
Welcome to Beyond Clinical Walls with your host, Dr. Bayo.
We'll claim your life.
Picture this. You genuinely want to take better care of your body and live a healthier life. But every time you try to research what that actually means, you're hit with a wall of conflicting information. One influencer swears by intermittent fasting, another says it's all about eating more protein, and your neighbor insists you just need to eat less and move more. Meanwhile, ads are constantly promising you the secret, whether it's a supplement that melts belly fat, a workout program that transforms your body in 30 days, or a hormone reset that finally unlocks weight loss. You want to make good choices, but how do you separate genuine science backed advice from clever marketing designed to sell you something? How do you know if that fitness guru actually knows what they're talking about? Or if they just have good lighting and a compelling before and after photo? Sound familiar? When you genuinely care about your health but feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of conflicting advice and flashy marketing, it's easy to either do nothing or constantly jump from one approach to another, never really making lasting progress. The wellness industry has become a maze of promises and quick fixes, making it harder than ever to find reliable, practical guidance that actually works for real life. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Dr. Bayo, your health advocate. I'm a practicing family medicine physician based in Nevada, and I use what I see every day in my clinic to inform everything I do, from the news and social media to national speaking events, and right here on this podcast. Sometimes you'll just hear from me, and other times I'll bring on leading experts like today. I'm excited about today's conversation because I know how crucial it is to cut through the wellness industry noise and focus on what actually works for real people. And we have the perfect guide for this journey, Dr. Tommy Martin. Dr. Tommy is a practicing board-certified physician, endurance athlete, and social media content creator with a passion for bridging the gap between medicine and the modern world. As a trusted voice with over 2.5 million followers across platforms, Dr. Tommy uses his platform to educate, inspire, and advocate, sharing everything from evidence-based health information and family life to his Ironman training and experience as a father to a child with special needs. What makes Dr. Tommy especially valuable is his unique perspective. He understands both the science of peak athletic performance and the reality of everyday life. He knows what it takes to train for an Ironman, but he also knows that most people just want to feel energized, encouraged, move without pain, and make sense of all the conflicting health advice out there. Dr. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Dr. Bayo, thank you so much for that incredible introduction. I am honored to be a guest on your podcast.
It is a pleasure to have you here. We are going to start with some fun. So I've got a couple of rapid fire questions.
All
Are you
right,
game?
let's do it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So what's your go-to drink at a coffee shop?
Starbucks, Pike Place, 2 cream, 4 Splenda.
Okay. For those who couldn't see me, my mouth went open. So when Dr. Tommy and I met, we found out we did this little game of thumbs up and thumbs down. And we actually found out that we had a lot in common. And
That's right.
based on what he just said, and I didn't know this, yes, I do have a Pike Place right now.
No
to-
way. What?
This is my favorite drink. So I couldn't stop.
Incredible.
Yes. So again, the stars align. Next, what's your spirit animal?
Oh, my spirit animal, I think, would be a hummingbird.
What makes you passionate about fitness?
Oh, so many things make me passionate about fitness, but I think the most important thing would be growing up as a child in poverty and not having good access to healthy foods. And growing up, I'd say as an obese child, getting made fun of a lot and getting made fun of for my size and for what I looked like. And I think that inspired me to learn a lot about fitness and health and how health is very multidimensional. And it's not about what you look like. There's so much more to health than that. And fitness is one dimension of health, but it's not all of it. Getting into fitness really changed my life forever. And now it has become something to not only, I think, prove to that young boy that he was more than what he looked like, but also to inspire my son who has special needs and to allow him to see that he can accomplish anything he sets his mind to. And just to push myself to the limits to see what I'm capable of. So a lot of different things, but I think the primary thing that got me into fitness was probably my childhood.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. It is palpable. Your passion and your story just really coalesces all the things that you've gone through, and it shows every day in all the things that you do. I just want to highlight that. What is your go-to snack before a workout?
Ooh, there's a few. I'm gonna get hate for this on social media, I'm sure, but nerd clusters,
I
absolutely love.
I I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah, so nerd clusters for sure, but a little plug with a company that I work with because they're incredible humans. It's a company called Noogs. So it is also a gummy, a carbohydrate source with electrolytes that I just absolutely love. And there's a secret coming in a few months that I'm pretty excited about.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me in on that. What's your favorite way to move your body and exercise?
Oh, lifting weights. People probably do not understand that that is my main passion because I do so much endurance sports, but there's just nothing like going to the gym and getting a hard workout. And when I say workout, I do mainly like bodybuilding type lifting, but it is just, it feels so good.
I can feel that. Now I'm like, I need to lift weights. I need to do something, but we're going to get into that soon. What's the biggest fitness myth you wish you could debunk once and for all?
Ooh, there are so many. The biggest fitness myth. Oh my goodness. I'm sure that a lot of people know, Mayer. She's, a Olympic rugby player, and she speaks about this a lot. But I guess that one of the myths would be that you have to be a certain body type to perform a certain way. I think that is a myth. For example, I would say that I'm larger than most endurance athletes. And so most people would say I could not be a good endurance athlete. But yet, even with my size, I've been able to achieve a Boston qualifying marathon time and achieve a sub 10-hour Ironman. So to do things that most people would say someone in the lifting space couldn't achieve. And so I would just say, do not let the myth that you have to fit into a certain body type to achieve certain goals.
And we're going to dig a little bit more into that. That hits a personal home for me, but we'll get into that piece. And I'm so grateful that you put that out there. If you could get one message across to people about what it takes to stay healthy long term, what would it be?
Consistency. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to do the best that you can each day and be consistent with that best. And so, some examples would be trying to achieve 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night, trying to achieve eating as many whole foods as you can and limiting packaged and processed foods, trying to exercise daily in a way that you enjoy. And if you try to do the best that you can in those three avenues, I think the rest of it will fall into place. And sometimes your best may only be exercising for 5 minutes, and sometimes your best may only be 6 hours and 30 minutes a night of sleep. And sometimes your best may be eating a fast food restaurant on the way home because you have three screaming kids in the car and you don't have time to get home and cook. But outside of those instances, if you're still striving to do the best you can, then I think you could live your healthiest lifestyle in the circumstances that you're currently in.
It's allowing that grace to like breathe and say, it's
Yeah.
okay that I may not be able to do what is considered the standard,
Hmm.
and saying, okay, what did I do? Because I love positivity. That was something my father always led into. What can you do versus what is prohibitive?
Yeah.
I love that.
I agree with that completely. I actually made a post today that I was supposed to do a 14-mile run at a 6:30 per mile pace today, and I just didn't have it. And so my best today was not a 6:30 per mile pace, but I still went out there and did the 14 miles at a 7-minute per mile pace. And unfortunately, even though that wasn't what I was supposed to do, that was the best that I had today. And getting out there and doing it anyway and giving my best, I think is still going to help me improve to reach my goals.
It will. And it's all about, and I'm going to quote my dad. He passed away at age 99, but Dr. Tommy, his
Legend.
motto was, you got to keep moving. He exercised every day. He went to the gym every day. It was amazing. Let's get into the conversation. There's a lot to unpack, and I'm really excited about this. When we talk about exercise, nutrition, a lot of times people might feel overwhelmed and they can feel like they're drowning in advice, especially when you hear about track your macros, track your supplements, eat more protein. How do you cut through that noise and help people focus on what matters?
Yeah, especially if you're on social media, there's literally endless content and advice, whether it be misinformation or real information. It's really hard to sort through what is correct. And so, what I would generally say is if something is new, if something is flashy, and something promises you results that are not typical, you likely should not listen to it. Usually, the things that are true are not sexy and you've heard them a thousand times. And unfortunately, they're not as appealing as this new thing that you could just pick up and cure all your problems. And so I think sticking to people who are experts in the field, people that agree with the standard of care and the rest of the medical boards, like the nutritional guidelines, the sports and exercise physiology board, like all of these organizations that are in place to provide evidence based information, listen to those instead of a shredded person on the internet that's standing shirtless in an aisle in the grocery store telling you to be afraid of certain things.
It's amazing because when you scroll any of the platforms, you see this physique that says that promises the stars and that you could possibly, if you want to, look like them. And
Mhm,
often they are selling something that is brand new or things that could change your life. And the advice of if it's flashy, especially if it's too sexy or whatever,
mhm,
however you want to paint that picture, it's unlikely to be true. And that
right.
leads me to supplements. Often with that physique, with that kind of opportunity comes with a purchase of a supplement. What is your take on supplements and how should people navigate that?
Yeah, such a great question, especially someone who's extremely avid in the sports space. And I personally use supplements. And so I will say that supplements are just that. They are a supplement. They are not a staple. They are not something that is a must. They're not something that you need unless you have a nutritional deficiency of some sort and you need to supplement. But for the large majority of people that eat a whole food diet, you do not necessarily need supplements. And most of them are not evidence based. And even the ones that are evidence based, there are so many producers of them, very few are actually regulated by the FDA because there are so many products that are being produced. And so you actually do not know if what you're buying and what it says it is actually what it is. And so what I would say is to use evidence-based supplements, and there's not very many of them. And then the second thing would be use supplements that are third-party tested to make sure that they are pure and make sure they are what they actually say that they are. But for the majority of people, you do not need supplements. And there's only a handful of supplements that I'd even recommend people to use even for sports performance.
And it's hard because people want to achieve this level of healthy eating. And often they think they do have to supplement their diet. And they're surprised when they find out that there are vitamins that our body already makes. And you can actually hurt yourself if you add that. And then I love the fact that you talk about you have no idea what's in that supplement and they can market whatever they want. And you could end up in, I've seen a lot of cases in the urgent care and at my clinic of liver failure. That's something we have to continue to highlight. And it brings me to the conversation of what is your definition of healthy eating? Like, how does someone achieve that?
Yeah, I wanna touch on a couple things that you just mentioned. So, majority of the supplements that people say, "Well, I'll use an example, green powders because I don't eat enough vegetables." Well, the problem with that is majority of the green powders, 1, are not regulated. 2, the dosages of the ingredients that they have are not even therapeutic. They're not even enough to help you, and they're extremely overpriced. And so, there are certain green powders that are $100 a month, and you would get the same ingredient or nutritional supplemental profile from a multivitamin for $7 at Walmart. And so just do not allow this flashy marketing to make you think that you're actually becoming healthier by supplementing with they are, because chances are they are not. And what they're actually doing is just decreasing your checkbook balance. And so what does a healthy diet look like? And then how do we know if we need to supplement or not? Okay. So a healthy diet, put simply, would be to try to eat a diet that consists of whole foods that fits with your cultural, your societal, and your financial norms or availability. And so for some people, that's going to look different for every single person. But try to eat a diet primarily of whole foods. In saying that, I'm not saying to never eat something that's packaged or processed, but I try to aim for 80 to 90% of whole foods and then allow the 10% of my diet otherwise to be of things that maybe I enjoy that are not the healthiest or maybe are higher calorie or more palatable to enjoy myself. And so in saying that, with that whole food diet, I would aim for carbohydrates, protein, and fats. in a balanced way so that you are not demonizing any one macronutrient. And depending on your medical history and your activity level, those macronutrient profiles of protein, carbs, and fats may vary from person to person. But in reality, it should be balanced, even regardless of what comorbidity you may have, except for some people that may need a ketogenic diet because of epilepsy or some other things.
I want to touch on cultural. That part resonates with me because I've had several conversations throughout my medical career and to this day at conferences where I will hear a healthcare professional highlight one diet as the go-to diet. And that is and I stand up and I say, "Why are we saying that a specific diet has to be the go-to?"
Yeah,
There's this narrative that if you grew up outside of that Mediterranean diet, that you are not healthy.
right.
And I remember having a conversation with a cardiologist about it in an open forum. And I said, it's only because we've studied that. We haven't allowed the other cultural diets and foods to be a part of the conversation and to be studied. So I love that you mentioned that because for those listening right now, they need that kind of buy-in or feel empowered that the foods that they may be eating right now, even if you don't see it in a paper, you don't hear about it in the news, it doesn't mean it's not healthy.
Right. Yeah, and I would say one of the bigger aspects of whether it be Mediterranean diet or whatever you have access to is the amount that you're consuming or the caloric amount. And so even if, there's been actually not necessarily studies, but there's been certain case reports or a one person intervention that maybe they only eat McDonald's and they could still improve their cardiac markers, they can improve their cholesterol, they can improve other markers of metabolic health, even eating something that the whole world would demonize as being unhealthy, but the reason that they're able to do that is because they're eating at or below caloric maintenance and they're maintaining a healthy weight. And so even if people want to demonize certain foods, like when ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet is so big, they demonize rice or demonize oatmeal. Well, in some population groups or cultural norms, rice is a staple, right? Like
Yes.
you may eat it 4 times a day, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you could still live an extremely healthy lifestyle if you're eating within your caloric means and you're not adding extremely high caloric condiments maybe to that rice. There's still extremely ways to live a very healthy lifestyle, eating as much rice as you want to, as long as you're in this caloric balance.
And one thing that I've shared with my patients and I share online, if you are told that your diet or whatever you're doing is not acceptable, say, help me understand why you think my diet choices or my food choices are inappropriate, because then it allows a dialogue for that clinician to think, maybe there are other options. Maybe I do need to really lean into what my patient is saying and what they eat. And that's a perfect example. If you are someone who eats rice every day, if you are someone that has any sort of carbohydrate part of your diet or
Yeah.
a protein, we need to be thoughtful in how we serve our patients and how we make sure that they are front and center. So I love that. And when we're talking about food, we can't not talk about exercise because a
Yeah.
lot of times people are like, oh, I got to eat, I got to diet, or I have to make these certain choices. Well, exercise is instrumental as well in making sure our whole body is healthy. What are your go to like exercise moves? What give us any tips on that?
Yeah, for sure. I will not give what I do, but what I would tell the general public. And so one would be in terms of maintaining healthy body weight. I just want to say this to begin with, because this is a big misconception. A lot of people think that if maybe they are struggling with their weight, then they need to exercise a ton. Exercise really does not help with weight control nearly as much as our nutrition does. And so whenever we're thinking of weight management, nutrition is vital and paramount. But that doesn't mean that exercise is not important, because exercise is also extremely valuable and important for a multitude of other reasons. And so what I generally recommend is one is to exercise in a way that you enjoy. And the reason being is, as I said at the very beginning, is consistency is key. If you try to start exercising, like Bio, say that you hate lifting weights, and I'm your doctor, and I'm saying, you know what, Bio, you have to lift weights 3 times a week. And you start trying in the first week, you just hate it. You hate every little part of it, then the likelihood of you sticking to that for the rest of your life is very slim. But what I have seen is instead is, what if my patient in front of me, I say, whatever you like to do. I don't care if it's jump rope, I don't care if it's jumping on a trampoline, however you like to move your body, just start doing it and try to do it for 150 minutes a week. Okay. And whatever exercise that is of them moving their body, that is beneficial and that will continue to reap incredible health benefits for them long term. And then once they get the confidence in that they are exercising regularly, then that's usually when I see people that have confidence to venture into other avenues of exercise that maybe they haven't tried to. And eventually, what I like to get the general public or my patients to do is to strength train, or whether that be lifting weights or body weight exercises, some way of increasing your muscular strength at least 2 times a week, but up to 5 to 6 times a week if they find a way to enjoy it. And that is extremely beneficial for a multitude of reasons. And then aiming to get that 150 minutes of cardiovascular activity per week. And by doing those two things, it's going to improve multiple metabolic markers throughout their body, but then it's also going to help them to gain muscle mass, increase their bone density, and help them with their longevity. Those were like the big key recommendations is finding a way to shrink train twice a week and get 150 minutes of cardiovascular activity per week.
And starting first with what do you enjoy? What brings you, and that's what I share with my patients. And I love that you do that. I'm like, what brings you joy?
Yeah.
Something that you love. And for like, I love to dance. And so I'll tell them, if you like to dance, dance for 5 minutes
Love it.
and
Yeah.
just enjoy. And so that is fantastic. Here's a reality check. According to the CDC, only about 1 in 4 US adults meet the recommended levels for both aerobic and strength training. But people who succeed long term, they aren't doing extreme workouts, they're doing consistent ones. What tips do you have for being consistent with taking care of their bodies?
Number one, do something that you enjoy doing in terms of strength training and cardiovascular activity. Number two would be finding friends to do this with. It is so much more enjoyable when you have friends and colleagues that you're exercising with. Number three would be set a goal for yourself and put it on the calendar. Sign up for a race, sign up for an exercise class, sign up for something that's going to hold you accountable. And four, set little goals along the way so that you're getting constant affirmation that you are doing a good job in progressing towards your goals. Consistency can be hard, but I think if you use these tips, you'll be able to make progress drastically comparatively to what you've ever done before.
And when we break down those tips, it really helps unlayer this mindset of all or nothing, where we have to do everything. But if we can just dissect it and say 1, 2, 3, 4, it gives you a sense of, I can accomplish, I can do something like that. What do you say for those people who stuck in that kind of all or nothing?
Yeah, so I am a very evidence-based person and I look to a lot of research and a lot of science. And so there's quite a bit of literature that shows that even just movement as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day has astronomical benefits. Even if you do not have it in you to exercise for an hour or exercise for 30 minutes, if you could pick 5 minutes out of your day and do that consistently, it'll make a huge, huge difference. And 5 minutes a day over the course of a year adds up to a lot of exercise. The other thing that I like to do is to write out affirmations for days where I feel like it's all or nothing and feel like, well, if I can't do that, then I'm just not going to do anything at all. Then go back to affirmations that I've written about myself, whether that be I am strong, I can persevere, I can do hard things. And so rereading these things and reading past achievements, I think that helps me also get over the hump and to put one foot in front of the other. Usually, if you could just take that first step or get in your car to go to the gym or whatever that first thing is, usually the actual exercise part of it isn't as bad as the getting to that part.
And affirmations can be a strong blueprint for your actions minute by minute, day by day. And I share that because when you said that, I thought about something we do in our household since my girls were small. I have asked them to share affirmations, and we've started with just like the basic. Everybody has seen, a lot of people have seen the movie The Help. But since they were small, I've asked them to say, I'm smart, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm kind. And through the years, Dr. Tommy, it has been amazing because people will ask me, why are you doing that? Are you just having them recite it? No, I'm building an invisible armor because when we walk out that door, people try to break us down. And if you can pour that into your kids, to yourself, like you just shared, it's a way to get through life, but also celebrate those wins, celebrate those moments when people try to break you down. I love that you do the affirmations. And I just had to highlight that piece because that is something in our household. And also,
Yeah.
one thing that's been really cool as a parent is I get to hear about what's going on in their mind sometimes when they tell me those affirmations. And I can be traveling and I'll call them in the morning because I've never missed it. And I'll hear, I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, oh, something's happening, something that I didn't realize because it'll come out.
Yeah. That I just love that you do that so much. As we mentioned, my son has special needs, and so he cannot really vocalize too much. But even since he was a baby, I will say, Oliver, you are smart, you are brave, you are strong, and you are capable of anything. And I hope one day he's able to vocalize those things back. But even if he's not, I know it's instilled in him because of the things that he's been able to accomplish against all odds.
I love that. And he's taking that in. And throughout his life, whether it's his body language with how he perceives something coming at him, he will put that forward.
Mhm.
And that is like one of the best gifts we can give our children.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think everybody listening should take that to heart and should do that with their children because you're right. As soon as they walk out the door, the world is coming. And most of
Yes.
the time, the world is not coming with positivity or encouragement. If we could build that invisible shield, as you had mentioned, I think our kids will definitely benefit from that.
Yes. Now, when I talk about all the things that you do, I also want to highlight your amazing social media content. So I would love for you to tell a story from one of your either followers or patients that really resonated with you.
Yeah. Every single day, whether it be in the hospital or on the internet and social media, we are helping people. And so I love that you ask this. And social media could be hard. I mean, life in general could be hard. Medicine could be hard. Being a parent could be hard. Whatever, like anything that you do can still be hard. I think it's always important that you remember why you're doing what you're doing. And in my phone, I have a folder called My Why. And this is just screenshots of different comments or direct messages or messages from patients that have reminded me why it is that I do this. I'll read this example. And so this is from my patient, and they do not care that I share it. And I'm not going to obviously break any HIPAA, but it says, "Good morning, Dr. Martin. Hopefully you're feeling good, and I hope your family's doing well. I have really good news to tell you about my health issues. For a long time, it's been a battle, but I never give up, and you never gave up on me. My blood sugar markers were very high. For the last couple, I started getting better, started working out as you had advised, started eating healthier as you advised, and now my blood sugar numbers have drastically went down. I'm no longer on medication and I'm no longer needing insulin. Thank you, Dr. Martin, for being such a great doctor in my life. I appreciate your efforts to help me. I love you. Hopefully we will get to see each other again one day." That was a it's like gonna bring me to tears, but like that's a patient that I had during residency, and they messaged me on social media to tell me that. And they were my patient for 4 years. And the fact that I had that opportunity to be that little bit of inspiration or spark that they needed in their health was super important to me. In
As I
person.
try not to tear up, I have a my why on my phone. I'm not
I love that
joking.
so much.
There's just so much connection. I just want to say thank you for sharing that story because it not only unifies us as health content creators of our why, but we have the bigger why, which is our patients,
Mhm,
number one. One other question that I have before we wrap up is there's a lot currently in the space of weight and bias and shaming.
mhm,
And I just wanted to get your take with so much happening with whether it's body shaming for what is considered a overweight or abnormal weight or underweight or even in between. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, I wish we would get to a place, it's we're in year 2025, and yet you go online and you still see countless comments talking about people's bodies. Unfortunately, I think it's become a societal norm for society to dictate what they believe someone's body should look like. And if people have not conformed to that societal view, then society has made it acceptable to comment and shame people into that norm. I think that's completely inappropriate. Something I often say is the way someone's body looks is the least interesting thing about them, and probably one of the least important things about them as well. But yet it's something that we put so much value into and so much weight into and so much shame into. And I think that if we as medical professionals, we as parents, we as leaders in society and the community do not stand up against it, not only for ourselves, for our patients, but also for our children, then it's not going to get better. And so a lot of the content that I make online is standing up against comments like that, standing up against people shaming people's body, standing up against people. I just filmed a video today about a girl who has lipedema, and it's led to disproportionate amounts of subcutaneous fat being deposited in her arms. And every video, people are commenting about the sides of her arms with very little knowledge about her, who she is, what she does. Yet they feel the right to judge her because her arms do not look like society believes that they should. But little do they know she has a medical condition that leads to deposition of body fat in those areas despite exercise or diet. I think that we have to stand up against it. I think it's completely unacceptable to talk about someone's body, whether it be, "Oh my gosh, you look so great because you've lost 50 pounds." Well, what if that person has cancer? What if they've been going through cancer and they've lost weight because they literally cannot eat because they're going through chemotherapy? And yet you're telling them now they look incredible because they lost weight. There's just so much more to someone's beauty than what their body size looks like. And I think we should probably just stop commenting on people's bodies.
It's none of our business.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be your business, make it because you care and that you
Yeah.
want to be about the person, but take that language out. When I say
Yeah.
make it be your business, I mean about the person, not what they look like.
Mhm. When I'm talking to resident physicians, I do a lot of teaching in medical education, and I tell them, like, your job as a physician is not to tell the person about their body. Like, the person knows their body. And so if you want to advise them, like, maybe they are in the obese category, and maybe for medical reasons, it may be beneficial for them to lose weight. Your job is not to come out and just to tell them that. Your job first is to assess their readiness or even their desire to want to talk about it. Something that I think is very powerful is just to talk to patients and see how they feel about everything. How do you feel about your weight? How do you feel about your body? How do you feel about your health? And do you think that there's any areas that you would want to improve? Right? Whether I want you to improve it or not doesn't matter. What really matters is what they want and their joy and happiness with their life.
Well, we go into medical school with a lot of, yes, we have to learn all of this information. And with that, a lot of bias, which we have, but extra bias comes with it. And when you go into, and I've shared this with my residents, check all of those biases before you walk in that door.
Mhm.
And the way I like to describe it is it's bias because people are like, what do you mean by bias or assumptions? I'm like, it's something we all have. It's how we perceive how people look, talk, and behave. And
Yeah.
so taking one moment to check it before you go into the door
Mhm.
is will not only allow you to give better care to your patient, it will allow you to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And we all need to do that every day. I do it every day. I have to check my bias. I put up a video yesterday where I saw somebody who would be considered not normal in society walk. I was in a coffee shop and she was walking by, and the stairs, Dr. Tommy, were just horrific. And I was like, I like to smile, as you know. And I'm like, I'm going to give this woman the biggest smile possible. And I did. And you could see her shoulders, like just everything. And I said,
Yeah.
that can make a difference because I let her know that she is valued and she's
Right.
seen. So I just that part is so near and dear. Dr. Tommy, you have dropped so many gems today, but before we wrap, let's make this super practical. If someone wants to make one small change this week, what would you suggest they start with?
One small change, I would say to try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And I know that we've talked a lot about nutrition, we've talked a lot about exercise, and so you may be asking, "Well, why is he telling me just to sleep more?" And the reason being is if someone wanted one supplement to really transform their life, it would be getting adequate sleep. Sleep helps our bodies recover, it helps our hunger hormones be regulated, it helps literally so many aspects throughout our bodies in terms of health that if you are able to sleep like 7 to 9 hours a night, I will say women tend to need more closer to the 8 to 9 hours a night. I think that alone could really help transform your life. And in saying this, I am a hypocrite. I do not get nearly enough sleep, and I am trying my hardest to, but that would be my one tip.
I would like to support you in that because I do not get that amount of sleep. You're not alone. And
All
then,
right, I
and
challenge you. I challenge you at least 7 hours
ooh,
a night. Yeah.
let's do a challenge. I'm game for
Okay, let's
that.
do it.
Let's see
Yeah.
what we can do. It's very hard for us.
My
And
goodness.
then, last but not least, and what's one belief you hope every listener replaces with something better?
Ooh, I would say that you're not enough. Um, and I say this because regardless what changes you make in your life, society's gonna tell you it's not enough, that you haven't done enough, that you're not good enough, that your weight's not good enough, your pant size isn't low enough, that your breasts aren't large enough, or like you don't look a certain way. You haven't done all of these crazy accolades. And even if you accomplish those huge accolades, you're still not gonna be enough. And so I just want to tell you that you are. And even if you do not achieve what society thinks that you need to, you are still enough. Regardless of what the scale says, you are enough. Regardless of what size shirt or pants you wear, you are enough. Regardless if it's hard for you to walk half a block or 10 steps, you are enough and that you are capable of more than society wants you to believe. And I know Dr. Bayo believes in you and I believe in you. And just, yeah, you are enough.
Love that. So, for those who want to learn more from Dr. Tommy, you can find him on social media. We will link his handles in our show notes. He posts excellent content and is doing so many great things. I highly encourage you to give him a follow if you haven't already. Dr. Tommy, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One is I don't wanna be rude because I was on my phone, but the reason I was on my phone is I was seeing what my sleep duration has been over the past little bit. I have been averaging over the past 4 weeks 6 hours and 30 minutes a night. My challenge to myself and to Dr. Bio is that over the next week, she has to send me a screenshot of the next 7 days after this week of what her average sleep is, and I'm challenging her and I both to at least get 7 hours. This is gonna be super challenging because I go in service on Saturday and I work a 36-hour shift. So this is gonna be challenging, but we're gonna do it.
I'm looking, I can't even find where my sleep is. So I'm like, oh, I'm looking at
Right.
my phone now.
Right.
So I don't know if is it non-existent. It's on.
Zero
I'm gonna
sleep.
find it and I'm gonna send him a screenshot of mine once I can figure it out. And then let's do it because
Love it.
yes, I probably this is a guess since I can't find it on my phone. I think I probably average 5,
Woo! Yeah, my average last year over the course of the
5
year
to
was
6.
5:45.
Okay, so the challenge was 1 week.
Well, we're gonna start with 1 week, but for the next 7 days, you and I have to at least get 7 hours a night.
Okay. Okay, this is on. I
This
love
is
it.
on, let's do it. But, outside of the fun, I just wanna thank you so much for having me on the podcast, and I know that your listeners know who you are, but for all the listeners, you guys truly have such a gem of a person to be the host of this podcast. I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Bio last year at a conference. Her joy and enthusiasm and passion for literally every single person around her goes unmatched, and it is just such an honor and such a privilege to know her and to have the opportunity to be on this podcast. And so, to the listeners, show her endless support because she's an incredible human and she deserves it.
Thank you. Did something in this episode shift how you think about your own health and fitness journey? Consider sharing this episode with someone you love who might benefit from this perspective. Here's the thing, taking care of your body is about building habits that support you throughout your entire life. Whether you love fitness or simply want to feel good in daily activities, the consistent choices you make today help you maintain energy, independence, and well being for decades to come. It's not about being perfect, but instead finding what works for you and recognizing that even small changes could have meaningful benefits for how you feel now and how your body serves you in the years ahead. Thanks for listening to Beyond Clinical Walls. If you learned something new today, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us reach more people who could benefit from these insights too. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We've got amazing content coming, including great episodes with the health creators you love.
You've heard the truth, now take the lead. Stand for yourself, know what you need. One step closer, you've made your mark. Keep showing up, the light light the spark.